You are the single most perfect human being that has ever existed, even though you are fictional. One day we will be together. Okay, so to everybody that always wants me to do an Attack on Titan video, guess what? I'll do an Attack on Titan video for you. Yeah, just because I got the creepy-eyed Mikasa wall scroll kind of collecting dust, I thought I'd bust her out again. So, this is a theory we're going to talk about. It's a theory that's been out there for a while, but it's one that I really am interested in. I just love this concept, okay? And after looking into all the evidence for it, honestly, I can't see any other way Attack on Titan could end other than this theory, because everything just seems to really click, and it would also kind of continue that cycle of, like, perpetual disdain and torment that basically every character in Attack on Titan has to deal with. Just like, yeah, the fight always continues, it never really ends, because guess what? The entire series is in a time loop. But not just any ordinary time loop. This is a Titan time loop. Now, what is a Titan time loop, you might be asking? Well, okay, it's kind of like, alright, you guys see part 4 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Okay, it's kind of like if Yoshikage Kira was a Titan. Okay, wait, that might not work if you haven't seen JoJo. I get it's part 4, you might not have gotten that far. Okay, did you ever see Back to the Future part 2? Okay, it's like if Marty McFly was a Titan. Okay, that doesn't work either. Okay, it's a time loop with giants. Alright, there you go. Alright, so this theory, I started seeing this kind of pop up. I started to hear the murmurings about something kind of screwy with the space-time continuum. Honestly, kind of like right where we are now in the anime, when these episodes were originally released in the manga, some weird stuff started to be, mentioned. And probably the one thing that, queued a lot of people up and kind of had us, like, scratching our heads for a while, was a scene during Grisha's backstory. One thing that Eren Kruger tells him while he's, like, giving him motivation to rise up and become the Attack Titan and, carry on, the legacy and everything, one thing he mentions is, like, you gotta do this for everybody, for your friends, for your family, you gotta do this for Mikasa and Armin. And this was, like, 20-something years ago. This was, like, years before Armin or Mikasa or Eren were even born. That this Eren Kruger guy, who is in himself the namesake of Eren, knows Eren's friends from the future, or remembers them. Because, of course, every Titan, if you're one of the 9 Titans, when you consume another one of the 9 Titans and you become one, you inherit all their memories. But not, like, all of them at once. It's sort of weird and vague. Sometimes you can recall things fairly well, other times they're all jumbled up. But the point is, you get the memories from the previous Titan, right? So he knows people from the future, and everyone was just kind of like, alright, so does this mean, like, Titans have, like, prognostication abilities, like they can see the future? Given from everything we've seen so far, that really doesn't surprise me, so it'd be like, if you want to say that, like, one of the powers of the 9 Titans is the ability to sense future events, I'd be fine with that. But, no, it would make a little bit more sense rather than he isn't remembering stuff from the future, because Eren Kruger has the Attack Titan. He remembers things from every previous Attack Titan that existed. So, if there was some kind of Titan time loop back when Eren was the Attack Titan, eventually would make its way back to Eren Kruger all the way around that loop again, but you would still have the memories. Alright, so that's the conclusion that some people arrive to. And then if you just start looking at some other little hints throughout the series, things do get kind of trippy in terms of time. What do I mean by trippy? Well, just look at the title of the very first chapter of Attack on Titan. You know what it's called? It's called To You. 2,000 years from now. Now, that time frame, 2,000 years, that bears significance in its own right. But I'm just gonna pause that for a moment. We'll get back to the significance of the 2K, but I just want to bring up, if you were going to end a series with a time loop, alright, so if, like, the last chapter of Attack on Titan resets everything, and then it connects back to the very first chapter, that title makes perfect sense. if we reset all of time, which I think it's going to reset at the birth of Ymir Fritz, the founding Titan, the one that originally got the powers of the 9 Titans, time is going to reset at her birth 2,000 something years ago. Not exactly 2,000 years ago, but like 1,800 something years ago. That's going to happen. And then you end the series right there, and then it loops back to the first chapter with the title, To You, 2,000 years from now. That fits, doesn't it fit? And it fits even more when you consider the fact that Isayama actually revealed the last panel of the manga. This is it. This is the last panel of Attack on Titan right here. We don't know whose baby that is, but I'm going to assume it's Ymir Fritz. And that's it. The loop continues anew. Now, we might be wrong on this. I mean, I'm not saying 100%, but it very well could be. The birth of a baby that would grow up to be Ymir, make a contract with the devil, or however she gained the power, because the devil contract thing also might have been just something invented by the Marleyans this entire time, but she got the power of the Titans, and then, you know, a bunch of stuff happens, this happens, and then we eventually get all the way up to where we are right now in the present-day story, with Eren and Mikasa and Armin and everybody, and Levi. So, yeah, I mean, that fits, right? It just kind of does if that was going to be the case, right? Now, other ways of looking at this, you could look at the baby being born is just a sign of hope. You know, it could be just like, it could be Eren's child, it could be Historia's child, you know, and just be like, all right, this represents, you know, hope for the future. Like, this could be like an Eldian that was born that isn't cursed with Titan power. You know? So it could just be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's an Eldian in the sense that, you know, this baby's parents were both Eldians, but, you know, this baby is freed from that Titan curse. So if you inject the spinal fluid into this baby, it wouldn't turn into a Titan. It's just freed from that. And then it can continue down the line, and then, you know, humanity is free and open. But, you know, given the message of Attack on Titan, you know, being, you know, yearning for a super hopeful, happy, chipper ending like that, I don't know if that's something you should really get excited for, but yeah. Hey guys, so I completely forgot to actually bring up the text bubble that was in that last panel that Isayama released. So it says, "You are free now," or something to that extent. The parent is holding their child and saying, "You are free now." Now, I guess I'm just a very pessimistic guy, because I feel like the first thing people are going to jump to is like, oh, it's a parent holding their child. It's possibly Eren holding his baby, though not entirely possible. But it's like, oh, you're free now to live a life in the future, free of all of this stuff, perhaps. But my mind immediately went to, like, the fact that the people obviously do not know they're in a time loop. So it could be Ymir Fritz being born and just being said, oh, don't worry, you're free now, when in reality, we, the readers, know that that is the furthest thing from the truth. So just really hammer in that one last, just crushing bit of reality before you close out the manga for good. So I have a much more pessimistic view on that panel, but if you want to think it means hope and happiness for the future, that's fine too, I guess. So, a few other things I've just noticed about this. So let's talk about the 2,000 years. Let's talk about that. I went back and checked out some dates to see what's really going on here. Alright, so, this all starts with Ymir Fritz, who we haven't really seen yet in the context of the manga. Possibly might have when Zeke kind of blew himself all to hell with the Thunder Spear, and that was the strange girl molding him back into a human being inside of a Titan's gullet. So that's probably Ymir Fritz, but in terms of, like, you know, this is her story, we haven't gotten that yet, okay? So, during Grisha's backstory, though, when he was a little kid and the whole thing with Faye happened, you know, after he was brought back to his parents' house, his dad was educating Grisha on the true history of the Marleyans and the Eldians and everything. And this history begins by saying that 1,820 years ago, Ymir Fritz made a contract with the devil, and that's when she became the original progenitor Titan, or Coordinate Titan, or whatever you want to call it, the founder Titan, alright? And then when she died 13 years later, that power was divvied up into 9 forms, which are the 9 Titans that exist to this day through various hosts that can only live 13 or up to 13 years each. Alright, so that was 1,820 years ago. Alright, so it's not 2,000 years exactly, which does kind of bug me. I was even like messing around with the numbers, and it's just like, okay, so when Grisha was a little kid, he was told it was 1,820 years ago. So, you know, that some time has passed since then. So, there's actually been 37 years of a gap from when Grisha was told this story to the present-day manga. And that includes the 5-year time skip in between, like when Eren was a little kid from when he was training with the cadets and everything. That includes that. And that includes the 4-year time skip in between, you know, the Shiganshina arc and then, you know, the current arc and all that stuff. That includes all of that. 37 years. All right, which bumps that up to now 1,857 years ago is when this contract was made. I was trying to figure out other ways you could increase the numbers, and I was like, okay, well, Ymir obviously didn't make the contract when she was a baby, so she had to have been, like, at least a young girl, and I believe it was actually stated she was a young girl, so I'm thinking teenage age, you know, when Eren and his story and everybody, like, back when they were, like, everything was going on with their little arcs, you know, maybe be like 15, 16, 17 years old is when Ymir made this. So, tack on another 16 into that, you only get, like, 1,873 years ago. Not 2,000 exactly, you're still missing out on, like, 100 years there, but you never know. You could always bridge the gap with something like, oh yeah, we got the dates wrong here, the dates were incorrect, so it's actually 2,000 exactly, alright? But yeah, that's the situation there. Now, in terms of like how this actually, like how does this time loop even work? You know, how exactly do you arrive at a Titan time loop? Because there are a lot of crazy things with, you know, the series, you know, Attack on Titan, you know, it's basically, honestly, I presented the idea that Attack on Titan, and just bear with me here, is in fact a giant mech anime. It is! It's a giant mech anime, you know? Like in Gundam, you had a bunch of humans that get into giant mech suits and fight against other giant mech suits that are piloted by humans, right? Isn't it kinda similar to Attack on Titan, you know? It's just, their giant mech suits happen to be just a little bit more gooey. You know, that's the only difference, really. It's giant mechs fighting against other giant mechs. You know, we've never seen, like, you know, I have time reversal magic or anything. So, how exactly did this work? He's like, well, if we're gonna go with the whole, like, devil contract deal, which that, like I said, is like a Marleyan thing, so it might have not have actually went that way, but if we're gonna go about the way, like, let's go way back 2,000 years ago, Ymir Fritz was just a teenage girl like any other, and you could have either say, oh, she stumbled upon, like, some kind of trickster god out in the woods or something, like something could have happened where she encountered some sort of deity. Right? Because you'd figure in order for a time loop to really operate in the way that we're thinking it's operating, then you gotta get, like, a devil or a god involved at some point to make this make sense, right? So let's say that part is true, it's just the Marleyans kind of amped it up a little bit, because the Marleyans wanted everybody to think, you know, oh, the Eldians, they made a contract with the devil himself, and that's why they are cursed for all time, you know? So they're gonna build that up a little bit to make Ymir out to be straight up evil, just like the Eldians tried to build her up like, oh, she was not a devil, she was a goddess, you know, she built roads, and she constructed this absolute paradise, this tremendous utopia. But then again, later on, during Grisha's backstory, Eren Kruger even states, like, both of those stories are embellished insanely. Like, there might be a kernel in truth in either of them, but when it comes down to it, like, if Ymir was this evil mastermind, made a deal with the devil and began to, you know, cleanse all of the Marleyans, you know, this would be cleansing that lasted like 1,700 years. There'd be no Marleyans left after that point if she was that evil, right? But on the opposite end of the spectrum, she was this absolutely perfect goddess that did everything for her subjects and rose us to a new age that was stolen away by the Marleyans. Eren Kruger's just like, I've never heard of any human being that was that, you know, benevolent or anything. So, like, both of those stories they probably represent some kernels of truth. It's just, it's been so long ago, we've lost all semblances of what the true story is. But I do believe Ymir Fritz met some sort of deity at some point and made a deal with said deity. Now, she could have had the best intentions, and the deity could have been a dick, and just been like, you know, like, oh, okay, like maybe Ymir was nice, and was like, I wish for my family and my people to propagate for all time, beyond sickness, never, you know, fearing death or something like that. Like, she could have been a teenage girl with the best intentions, and the devil was like, ho ho, okay, we can twist that around. Oh, don't worry, we'll make them immortal, and we'll make them not being able to die. We can cover all of that. And it's like, oh, really? That's lovely. I'm like, yeah, it sure is, isn't it? You know, we could have had that, or we could spin it like maybe Ymir Fritz's people back like 2,000 years ago was in conflict with another group of people, and she might have desired the power to defeat them in some way, and once again, the devil or the god, maybe, you know, kind of like the monkey's paw sort of deal. Like, you make a wish, you gotta be extraordinarily specific about it, because it's like, oh yeah, we'll give you the ability to turn into giants and crush whoever you want underneath your giant feet, you know? So, yeah, that solves all of your problems, not realizing the fact that, yeah, what it actually turned out to be. And I think, honestly, in no matter what context you're gonna look at this, regardless of Ymir's intentions, the god would have to be just this sick, demented sort of, like, deity where it's just like, oh yeah, not only are we gonna keep it like this, it's like a sick game for this god where it's like, yeah, we're gonna keep it going and going and going, and right when you think they escaped it, right when you think they get out, boom, a giant boulder crushes her. No, that's stupid. Oh, right when you think it's gonna end, whoop! We just loop right back to the beginning, again and again and again. Meanwhile, the god or the devil or whoever it is up there just munching on, like, space popcorn, like, ha ha ha! This is glorious, you know? And then whenever they get tired of it, maybe they just eliminate the entire thing. I don't know. But if you're gonna get deities and stuff involved here, that fits with Ymir Fritz's backstory, and also, like, it would, like, lead into, like, oh, that's the kind of arcing message of the series sometimes. It's like, yeah, you achieve hope. It's like every time you get close to hope, even if you, like, gain an inch or so, like, you're getting closer and closer to the answer, it gets snatched away with you. And, you know, I was gonna make another video about Attack on Titan, about which character. Guess which character? Not Levi. Levi deserves, honestly, like, his own discussion series. Like, we'd honestly deserve, like, Levi Week after the Beast Titan episode, right? But no, I was gonna do a video about Erwin, alright? Because Erwin is kind of like one of the perfect examples of this message of Attack on Titan. It's just like, Erwin was a good person. He led the scout regiment. He, like, cared about his subordinates. He put his own life in danger. He didn't treat his men like cannon fodder. He genuinely cared. And his overarching goal was just to find out the history of the world. He really wanted to see just what was beyond the walls. That's what drove him at the end of the day, right? So he was a genuinely good person. His dad was a genuinely good person that were just eliminated for asking the wrong questions. You know what I mean? And, you know, watching these past few episodes, I knew what was going to happen, of course, but it's just like, it makes me feel so much worse for the guy, because Erwin never found out what was in the basement. That's all he wanted. He just wanted to see what was in that basement. He got this close, literally this close, a freaking length of a tardigrade's dick. He was that close, and he didn't make it. He's dead. He's gone. He's never coming back. He's never getting it. That's a message right there. You know, like, after that crap and all the other stuff we've seen in the series where people got a real, you know, just a kicker of an ending, that would work for the finale of this whole thing. Now, is there hope? Yes. Even in this Titan time loop theory here, there is hope. Because you have the Attack Titan, right? The Attack Titan that Eren has, that Grisha had, that Eren Kruger had. And when Eren Kruger was passing this power over to Grisha, when we first learned the name of it, remember what he said? He said, this is a Titan that always pushes forward. This is a Titan that is always striving for freedom. It is known as the Attack Titan. And I'm sitting there reading that, and I'm thinking, okay, if this is a time loop and everything is hopeless, then, you know, where would this Attack Titan fit in? And I realized that maybe the Attack Titan represents the one way to break out of this loop. It's sort of like the escape clause, like in the devil's contract. Like if the devil's gonna write out a contract with Ymir, it's gonna be super freaking long. But there's just one way out, and that way out is through the escape titan. I'm not the escape titan, the Attack Titan, right? And so it's like every time. And by the way, this loop could have repeated dozens, hundreds, thousands of times. That's what you love about time loops. I love a good time loop story, and the number of loops is just insane. Alright, so you could make it like, oh, this is like the 7th or 8th time we've looped, and it's like, whatever. But if at the end of the series we find out this, I mean, we're probably never, like, if it is a time loop, we probably might never even find out, like, how many loops it's been. It's been a hell of a lot of them. You know, with the same cast of characters, maybe just doing slightly different things each time, but they still can never win. But the Attack Titan does manage to, like, have a little bit more free will than all the other ones do. And every single loop, it's like the Attack Titan, through their actions, gets closer and closer and closer to breaking it. There has to be a way to break the loop. Now, what would that way be? I have no freaking idea. But if we're looking at the way things are going, it's like, what does Marley want? What does Eldian? What do the Eldians want? I mean, at the end of the day, it really seems, if you're just gonna break it down fundamentally, you know, they want all the Titans on their side. Obviously, the Marleyans want the founding Titans, so they get control of all the Titans. And then the Eldians kind of want the same thing. Like, no side wants the other side to have the founding Titan, right? So it could be the thing that restarts the loop is that Ymir Fritz dies, the 9 Titans get separated, and if through a series of events they all get brought together in a certain point or a certain time or a certain place, they all merge back together, like something incredible is supposed to happen, like, ah! And it's the rebirth of Ymir Fritz, but it's the rebirth of her, like, in a time loop. So it's like all the 9 Titans coalesce back together, loop back, Ymir Fritz is born again, and everything resumes. So that could possibly be the situation there. It might be some other way. So you gotta figure, like, is there a way to break the chain of events? Don't look at me, I have no idea. But the Attack on Titan, so with that being the situation, it could be looking at Eren and kind of the kind of path he's going on right now. It could be like, oh no, this is something that's not supposed to be part of the loop. You know, Eren kind of going rogue and going off and doing his own thing, that could be the thing that actually is supposed to break said loop. Alright? So yeah, we could even have a fake-out moment. Like, we could find out later on in Attack on Titan that, oh yeah, no, it is a time loop, and it's completely hopeless. We'll never escape said time loop, right? And then the very last scene of the manga doesn't represent the beginning of a new time loop. It represents, like, the birth of a child that isn't part of this time loop and will continue onward completely free, leaving the Titans, leaving all the curses and things behind us, and we could just move forward and do a new age, you know? Honestly, best case, I mean, like, another way of looking at this is Marley completely annihilated, Eldians completely annihilated, and then that's how the loop is broken. You know, just, like, complete destruction from both ends, you know? They just wipe each other out. All the Titans die in the process. Eren, Mikasa, Armin, Zeke, Levi, everybody just wiped out at once, and just like, maybe you could keep Levi and Mikasa around, because they're Ackermans, they're not really part of this whole thing. You know, they're not really, you know, they are, but they're not, you know, just like, okay, have Levi and Mikasa survive this, and just like, alright, well, you know, that now the world is freed from Titans and they continue on their production, and, you know, we cut over to a new age like hundreds of years later when, you know, the Attack on Titan world is our world and they have smartphones. And I don't know, but that could be one of the ways to solve the problem, you know, like, or actually, I might be thinking of this in too small terms. Not even wiping out Marley or the Eldians, but wiping out, like, everybody. You know, like, the prophecy comes to pass, the Titans in the wall get awoken, and they just destroy everything, like the entire world in the process, but this loop is broken, so the world is completely destroyed, all life is wiped out, but the loop is freed. So those bacteria will surely have a chance. Hey, yeah, that's how life propagates, All the Titans wipe off the world, and I guess they disappear, and then there's no life left in the world. Or, I mean, if the Titans still survive, like you had like millions of colossal Titans just stomping all over the world, that could also be like no life could hope to live in those conditions, because if life ever tried to propagate again, it would get instantly stomped out, but the loop is broken. I don't know. That's just another way of looking at it, but... I dig this theory. I dig any theory that involves time. Just like a loops back around. I love that crap. And with this series, I think it would fit splendidly. So let me know what you think about this theory below. If you like it, if you hate it, if you don't like it, name some other theories about Attack on Titan that you do approve of. If you do like it, try to fill in the gaps. How could the loop be broken? Is Eren, what he's doing right now, is this part of just events that have been ordained? Or is this something new and he's going off the rails? Who knows? But, Attack on Titan video, there it was. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you want me to make more of these. I'll make more of these. Like I said, I have that Erwin video. I really wanted to talk about him, so let me know about that below. Alright, everybody, this will be Tekking signing out. For the Scouts! Actually, you know what? While we're on that, I wanted to address something here at the very end, because it didn't really have a purpose during the actual video. Alright, so, the symbol for the Scouts, Wings of Freedom. Makes sense. There's a lot of references to, like, bird cages and walls and things in Attack on Titan. The walls, of course, being much more literal, but you know what I mean. Like, the wings of freedom. A bird can soar over the walls and go off to new horizons. Alright, makes sense, right? Okay. You got the garrison. You got the flowers and shit. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like, they're the garrison unit. They're supposed to guard the walls and all the agriculture and humans and animals and everybody that lives inside the walls, so that fits. Military police. It's a unicorn that has, like, a sword for a horn. That's awesome. That's just awesome. I never understood it, but it's awesome. Now, granted, this was probably all explained in the supplemental material and, like, maybe the novels at one point. I have Before the Fall. Never read it, though. I probably should. Before the fall and before the trials of the Titan's son, Kiklo. I have no idea who Kiklo is. Is Kiklo a cool character? A young smith by the name of Gendry Baratheon grappled with the giants as only a craftsman could. Okay, his name was Angel Alatonin. Interesting. I need to read this. I've had this for years. A fan sent this to me a while back. Alright, maybe. Alright, well, yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Just wanted to address that. Signing out later.